Welcome to the RotoWire DFS show. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Jordan Cooper and Ryan Belongia to talk Saturday's 3-game slate at DraftKings. Jordan, I guess the first question up here is we got some smaller contests. What does this mean for the lobby here? Does this mean there are fewer sharps in the lobby? These contests that we have for Saturday's slate are right now, they're smaller than Friday's showdown between Nottingham Forest and Sheffield United. What does this mean for the lobby? Does it change anything for us in general here?
Soccer's dead. Pack it up. Pack it in. Pack it in. They didn't do well on the first slate of the season. People don't want to play soccer DFS. They're scared of us. I think that's what they are. They're scared. People are scared of us. It's hard to even get at, dude. I barely post head-to-heads, and it's hard to even get anything going at all in the soccer lobby. So like my volume's been down just naturally. I ain't taking $215 head-to-heads with Saramek for no reason.
Jordan, it's clearly time for you to become a GPP player.
Even then, they have 5K to first, and the payout structure still sucks.
Yeah, but you can find like some 4-man, 5-man, winner-take-all stuff. Get a little more action.
Yeah, and focus a little bit more on upside. Don't play garbage, Pete. Don't play Harrison Reed on this slate.
Right.
Do you think the problem is in terms of your head-to-heads that everyone who's playing is actually listening to the show, so they see your name and they're gonna be like, I don't want to play any of you guys because I'm following your information in the first place.
Or they know what my lineup's going to be and they play it maybe the opposite.
True. I mean, I don't know. I think your cash lineup last week was a bit of a surprise to us. You landed on Kearney from Fulham. Is that correct?
Yeah, why not? I thought he had set pieces, and he didn't. And he just literally didn't.
Yeah. Well, I think he also went 60 minutes, but Saturday.
Right, I was the only schmuck not to play Stupinan with this 21 points. Yeah, that screwed me. That was my roster construction. Do I play Kearney and Steele, or do I go down and I play a Stupinan and a cheap goalkeeper and I screwed up, and there you go. Sometimes that's all that is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The one guy that seems overpriced and maybe the best option, but you don't want to play him, and then he just ends up getting the final minute? I think he had an assist, something like that, in that game for Brighton. They scored 2 goals in stoppage time, maybe it was. But we got some interesting games for Saturday's slate. Liverpool have a 2.55 implied goal total. That is probably going to be one of the higher numbers of the season, outside of maybe, Manchester City home against Bournemouth, something like that. But 2.55 is really high here as we get Brighton, the second biggest favorite on the slate, at Wolverhampton. They're at 1.77. So it's going to be a slate where you need to find when I first put my lineup in, when I was building the lineup, I was having trouble for cash purposes just finding a third team to put in my lineup. But what do we do here?
Is that the strategy on the slate? I mean, I took a look and it's like
we have underpriced Liverpool players,
player, right?
Yeah. I just think it's hard where you have these, like you have Luis Diaz, Gakpo, Szoboszlai, these guys with the 2.55 implied goal total. They're under 7K, which is, you just don't see that any time. I mean, it's like, well, these guys have the best odds to score in the slate. They're under 7K. We can fit them all in our lineup, even with Salah. So, I mean, I guess that's what we'll have to talk about. What are the reasons not to play some of these Liverpool guys in cash games because of the 2.55 implied goal total? Because the matchup with Bournemouth, we know that they're going to want to run. So what's your first move here in cash games, Jordan? Do you look at Salah here as at 11K? Or
I mean, to me, it's not a matter of like, are you playing Liverpool? It's just a matter of who you're playing. Because you can't play them. And obviously, like, based on the goal scoring odds, Jota, Diaz, and Gakpo are all underpriced, right? Assuming that's the starting lineup. I mean, I would think that, like, how would you, like, Ryan, how would you rank these guys? Because obviously Salah's 11,000, Jota's 7,700, Diaz is 6,500, Gakpo is 6,900. I mean, to me, I view like Diaz and Jota to be over Gakpo, and I would view them kind of maybe even over Salah just because they're 4,000 cheaper. Would you rather build a lineup if you had to pick 3 and build a semblance of a cash lineup? Would you choose like Jota, Diaz, Gakpo? Or would you choose Salah with 2 of those guys? And then it's just like, which 2 of those guys? I think to me, that's the roster construction. I do not believe you're going to be able to play all 4 of them and still have salary left. But even and I know Adam may join in. It's possible you can. Like there may be like enough punts that you could do that. But if you choose not to, like, it's kind of like if you play all 4, because you also have Dominic, however you pronounce, Solomzai, whatever.
Szoboszlai, yeah.
Szoboszlai, him also, he's midfield only. All these guys are forward eligible. Ryan, is this the slate where you're playing like a Pascal Gross or a Brian and Mbeumo in your forward spot, or you're just filling it with Liverpool players?
Yes, yeah, Pascal Gross.
Definitely not Gross. Maybe you could make an argument for Mbeumo, but I think I'm just filling it with Liverpool players. Your question as to how I would rank them, just from point per dollar, probably, Diaz, number 1, just because he's the cheapest. And then, Jota over Gakpo, just because, probably higher upside, more likely to score a goal. I think you could fit 4 if you wanted to, but I think, Szoboszlai is pretty much a lock at 6,100. I mean, it's really lazy pricing from DraftKings on this slate. And then, Pedro Neto is probably a lock too at 38. So I think you have to just kind of go from there. And then you're playing Salah for sure. And then then you can fit in 2 other guys if you want. You can fit in Diaz and Gakpo if you wanted, but I think you got to start with those 2 midfielders. Like I don't think you can fade Szoboszlai if he's taking half the set pieces and maybe a free kick or 2 for that price. And you definitely can't fade Pedro Neto for that price, taking all of the sets for 3,800. So
you think it'll be all the set? What happened with Sarabia in?
No, he was in last week. I don't think it might not be all the sets. You might get Nunez to take a couple, but I think it'll be Neto, mostly Neto, and then a couple Nunez maybe.
I don't know if it matters though. 3,800.
3,800. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. How is he 3,800? He just had a 20-point floor.
It's lazy pricing, right? But last year we were trying to play Neto, and they had a manager that wouldn't play guys longer than 45 minutes. It seemed. And maybe it's different this year.
Yeah, the problem, Ryan, is that the lineup that I want to play is ineligible. Like I can't play it because I'm only playing 2 teams.
Right.
Agreed. And I mean,
you might have
once you start plugging in people, you know exactly what the lineup is because you're paying up for Allison, and then your utility spot is a 3rd defender, and you're like, oh, I can't just have Liverpool and Wolves.
You can maybe just punt one of the defenders. Punt a 3rd defender, maybe play a different goalie.
Well, that's why I think it's going to be a goalkeeper utility combination. And if you do a different goalkeeper utility, then it's going to be the difference of, do you play Diaz or Jota or Gakpo in that second forward spot? But of course, you don't get into that problem if you don't play Salah.
Right, you don't get into that problem if you play like an Mbeumo as your 3rd team. Maybe you could do like Mbeumo and Neto and stack Liverpool or something. I don't know.
So I think that's the main question here. How hard is it just to fade Salah in this spot? I mean, everyone knows he had 0 goals and 0 assists when these teams played last season in a 9-0 result, but that has nothing to do with this game here. But 11K for Salah, just to make your utility spot better, I guess, or even your second defender spot better. I mean, is it worth it to go with like an Mbeumo at 8,200? instead of Salah, I mean, how hard is it to pass up Salah here? When you can fit him in your lineup, I think that's the main thing. It's not that difficult to fit him in your lineup. And with the best odds to score, PKs for Liverpool, I mean, I don't know if we've answered the question yet, but are you playing Salah? Is that?
I mean, basically, how much risk do you want to take? I mean, I'm not really going to beat around the bush. I'm for sure playing Salah. Like, this is one of the best chances he has to score 2 goals, and you're just dead. So, like, and to your point, like, it's easy to play him because of the prices. And then, like, who am I going to play if I don't?
Well,
like,
you'd end up Ryan. You'd end up playing Gakpo. So, like, the line of construction would be that you don't play Allison, and you pay up, and you're ending up playing Jota, Diaz, Gakpo, Szoboszlai, Alexander-Arnold, and Robertson. You have Neto and Flecken.
Yeah, okay. That's not bad, yeah. Yeah,
but basically, you're saying that I want all the Liverpool pieces except for the one guy that could put up 35 points and kill me.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it just does. I don't like that.
Just from an ownership standpoint. So it's like, for me, I think that knowing the field, that I think from a cash perspective, I'm not talking about GPP. I'd much rather just block with Salah, and then if whatever, live or die by, well, I'm going to play Jota instead of Diaz, or Gakpo instead of Diaz, or whatever one you choose out of that, because you're probably playing Szoboszlai and Neto, and you're probably playing Liverpool defenders. Then it just comes down to your 3v3 and goalkeeper, second forward, utility spot. But if you don't play Salah, you end up getting, I feel like in cash games that maybe Diaz is 55% owned, Jota is 30% owned, and Gakpo is 20% owned, but Salah is 85% owned. So I'm more in trouble if Salah does well than I make up if Salah doesn't do badly, because the only way for the other guys to do good is probably if Salah does well anyway, right? Correlation-wise, that I'm not going to get burned. If I pick Diaz and he puts up 6 points and Jota has 22, only 30% of the field have Jota. I could still cash like that. But if that happens with Salah, you're screwed.
I think that's a good way of looking at it. Pretty much just as a block. You also have, I know Salah was substituted early in the opener. He wasn't too happy about that, but he also is more likely than pretty much all these guys to go the 90. You got to think Darwin Nunez is coming in for Jota. Diaz, someone will come on for him. Harvey Elliott, maybe. Even Gakpo was subbed off early. I think Curtis Jones came on for him. So, I mean, all these guys are in play. I guess technically Salah is in play to be subbed off as well, but historically Salah is not the guy to be subbed off well. And he also has probably a better floor than all these guys as well. So not that, that's not even why we're playing him, but still, it just makes sense that at 80%, this isn't even like a Erling Haaland situation, because it's Haaland is either going to score 3 goals or maybe he won't even have a floor. It's well, Salah will probably get to 12 points no matter what happens here, even if he doesn't get a goal or assist, kind of thing. So
is Gross going to score 18 floor points again?
He might.
He's going to be. Yeah. You have to admit, Gross and GPPs is going to be much lower owned than we'd normally be. But to me, the GPP play is Pedro. Right? I feel like this slate from a GPP's perspective at forward is I want to stack the Brighton Wolves game, because the Wolves pieces are really cheap. And Neto's going to be chalk. Sure, I get it. That's fine. But playing a Neto, if I take a look at the Wolves starting lineup, playing what is Cunha going to start?
Yeah.
Right. So playing Neto, Sarabia, Cunha, and then you play all the main. You play Solly March is going to go, especially midfield only. Right. He's going to go drastically under on. You play a March Pedro lineup. And you still play one of the Liverpool forwards. You could still play you play Diaz or something in that type of lineup. maybe you play a Stupinan over Trent Alexander-Arnold. I mean, you could build like a lineup that Brighton Wolves is a 4-2 game, and Liverpool only beats Bournemouth 2-0 or something, and they got up ahead.
Yeah.
Liverpool scores a goal 8 minutes in, so it's not like they're stuck like chasing the game or something. And maybe even from a peripheral standpoint, like they're not that great. I mean, that to me that's GPP, but for cash, it's like I'm playing a Liverpool player over a Brighton player, no matter what the spot.
Yeah, right. No, that's a good point though. GPP, there's going to be some massive chalk in GPP this week, like much more than we're used to seeing. So yeah, getting off Liverpool seems good.
Yeah, as for cash, I guess I'll say for that Wolverhampton match, this isn't the same, at least through one match under Gary O'Neill, former Bournemouth manager. This isn't the same Wolverhampton team that we've really seen. They attacked a little bit more than kind of everyone expected, and probably should have grabbed a point against Manchester United on Monday. We'll see if that continues, but based off comments from the manager, from O'Neill, this team does not want to play defensive like we've seen from prior Wolverhampton teams. They do want to attack. They do want to run a little bit more pressure, a little bit more. So, I mean, as Jordan was saying, GPP wise, like this could be one of those 3-3 type of games because we know how Brighton play as well. So I don't think Wolverhampton will be scared to run at them and try to score themselves. So I'll say that in terms of tournaments, but in terms of cash games here, it's not a massive conversation. It's just decide between these Liverpool players. We got Neto. I mean, I guess we moved a defender at this point in cash games because it's really just talk about these Liverpool players all it is like, okay, do you want Jota or do you want Gakpo? Do you want Diaz? It's kind of, that's what the conversation is. Unless, I mean,
are there any midfield? I mean, like at midfield, do you have, you could build lineups if you don't want to go like the full Liverpool type of route. I mean, do you really want to play Andres?
Do we want to guess red coat strategy? Is that what we want to do here? Because we know he's going to be
whatever. Different. I mean, because there, dude. I think midfield is the spot to go in GPP because you got guys there. I mean, like how low owned is Matoma going to be? Pereira. I mean, I prefer Matoma than Pereira, but like Pereira is like he's the cash game play. But would you fill a midfield? Like, dude, Pereira's 7,600. Would you rather play Pereira or Diaz, Gakpo, or Jota in a matchup where Liverpool's at home to Bournemouth with a 2.5 implied goal total? And Pereira isn't even guaranteed 90 minutes anymore. And dude, he's not even guaranteed to start anymore.
He's coming off an injury. That's why he didn't start last week.
Right.
Yeah. So,
but like, are you going to play Matthias Jensen at 5,400 for half a set pieces on Brentford in cash games? It like I echo Ryan's statement that like you're playing Solskjaer, however you pronounce his name, and net like to me like if your cash game lineup doesn't have those two players, like put your opponent on a list and just say I'm playing that guy net deads most weeks, right? I mean, are we? I mean, I don't want to make it sound that simple, but Ryan, is it simply that simple?
Yeah, it seems that simple, right? You're just not playing any of these other guys. You said it. You can't trust Pereira or Fulham. Definitely not playing Jensen. I mean, the Brighton March is just too expensive. Yeah, for GPPs, it's a great slate to get different at midfield, but for cash, there's just nothing else you can do.
What if instead of maybe Szoboszlai here in the midfield, what if you went down to like David Brooks and then that would allow you to get a better second defender kind of a thing?
So you go down to Nunez.
Right, Nunez or Sarabia there also. I'd rather take the Wolves guys.
Yeah, get David Brooks out of here. You and Jack both on David Brooks this week.
People got lucky with David.
You're going to bash a guy who's coming back from having cancer? He just revived his career. Come on. Don't put a stink on his name. Come on.
Okay, I'm not. I'm not. I'm a fan of David Brooks.
Yeah, I do like the Nunez part. He is a guy. I said it during Monday's match. He's just one of those guys maybe almost like Iwobi, who I talked about last week. He's just a guy who kind of fills up the stat sheet in random places, seemingly in every match. And if he's going to take a spot kick or two kind of a thing, that'll get him to a decent floor here and there. So, I mean, there are a lot of guys that for some reason they're really underpriced here. I guess it's just early season DraftKings. They haven't updated some of their stuff, and we're getting all these set piece takers that are sub 4K kind of a thing. So that just allows you to, again, another reason why Salah is going to be extremely popular in all formats, because it's not that difficult to fit him into your team. So as for a defender, though, you guys on TAA here at 7,900?
Why not? Why not just play Alexander-Arnold and Robertson? I mean,
oh, you want Robertson? You're playing Robertson?
Why not?
Okay.
Is there a reason not to play a fullback on a team that he crosses a ton? And
does he cross a ton?
Does he? Am I mistaken?
Ryan, what's your take on Robertson here?
My take is that in general, I'm lower on him than in years past, but this matchup is just so good that he's probably still a good cash play, especially if he's going to take a couple corners. But I don't know if we can see it anymore, but if you look back at the game log last year when they started this new formation, I believe him and Klopp even talked about it. He's just not getting forward as much and not crossing as much. I just remember the last like 5 or 6 games last year. I'm not sure he scored over 10 points. But again, this is a great matchup, and he's going to do better from open play in this spot than in other spots. So yeah, I still think he's a good cash play this week, but just in general, I'm sort of down on Robertson.
And I also look at just the defender position in general. It's like, yeah, you have a Stupinan at 7,000, which is okay. But then it's like, do I want to play 5,700 for Tet? Do I want to play, 4,700 for Robinson on another type of slate would be like, okay. So you take a look at like, either I'm paying up or I'm paying all the way down. I mean, my natural inclination is like, you could always, if you needed it, to play like a Konate at 3,100 with his clean sheet equity. Van Heck, if he's in again at 2,700. But I mean, if a Ryan 8 Nuri starts at 2,600 for Wolves, that was my original lineup. My original lineup is all the Liverpool players, Neto and 8 Nuri, and I'm like, well, I can't submit that lineup because I only have two teams.
Right. I know what you're talking about. So, I think Jack put this in the article, but you got to use like 2,500 Zibarni from Bournemouth if you want to play that lineup.
This is a very obvious lineup, yeah.
Yeah, but you can't. It's 2 teams. You can't even do it.
No,
you
can.
You would have to replace Robertson with another 6.
No. You replace 8 Nuri with 2,500 Zibarni.
So you just take whatever points and just whatever it is, and that's
I guess. That's kind of what I guess, right? It's the same.
Yeah, but you could also go down a goalkeeper. You could just go down a goalkeeper and take
Nathan Collins is 2,600 as well.
Okay, maybe you go Nathan Collins, I guess, instead.
Yeah, I guess that is the move there. It's fairly.
I don't know.
Here.
Jordan, what if? Yeah, okay. I had instead of Robertson and 8 Nuri, Konate and Kenny Tete. But so then you have the danger of, it's dangerous to fade Robertson. I know that. So that's a risky move.
Well, I'd rather to me, I think it's less dangerous to fade the goalkeeper.
Yeah,
I'd much rather take out of the goal.
I'm not saying that. Yeah, maybe it is.
Like playing Salah, playing Diaz, play whatever his name is.
Zaba.
Yeah, maybe you just get different at goalie. I don't know which one you're gonna click on, but yeah, I guess any of them are fine.
Matter?
Not really.
You could play a lineup like you could play Leno, right? And you could at 3,900 you could play Van Dijk. You could play Sarabia in this line. You could play Sarabia. You have room there. right? If you even want to pay up and you want to play like Steele at 5,500, I mean, you have 3,000. You can't really do much with that. But Flecken, right? I mean, the next one would be Flecken, right? 3,700. You could play Sarabia in that lineup. Sarabia.
Yeah, okay.
No, Sarabia. Sarah.
Better than Shalazobajabajai. It's better than that guy.
Zobo.
I think
Jack has it right in the chat though. Allison technically is underpriced.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like,
well, that's what I said last week, and you guys didn't want Jason Steele though, and they had like 48% clean sheet.
Oh, I was all about Jason Steele.
Yeah, so was I. I can't remember if Jordan was or not.
I played Steele in all my stuff.
Did not work.
So basically, we want to play the lineup with all Liverpool players netto and just the cheapest guy that's available in utility with the green check mark.
You could do that. I think it seems like it'd be enough. I mean, it'd be enough if you get the Liverpool clean sheet. If not, you might be in trouble.
Right. Well, that's the point. It's like it relies very, very heavily on that.
It relies a lot on
unless it's a Barney goal.
Sure. I know, Adam, you were saying something about Liverpool are getting scored on tomorrow. Is that happening?
Said that?
No, you just said you're not about the Liverpool defenders. You want the over.
Yeah.
You're not about Allison either. He's getting scored on.
Yeah, I think Bournemouth are going to score. Yeah, I'll say it.
David Brooks does Zabarni as the goal.
I thought that last season they won 9-0, but this is a better Bournemouth team, I think, at this point in the season. But
I mean, sure, Liverpool didn't look great last week.
Yeah, I mean, we know everyone was talking before that first match. It was like, oh, Liverpool need a defensive midfielder. They didn't get Caicedo. They didn't get Lavia. They signed Endo from Stuttgart. Like, that's their big defensive midfielder signing. Like, they still don't have that guy who's just going to, D up kind of like a Rodri in the Man City midfield. I know like these guys are good. McAllister is a great signing and all that. I do think there's still some kind of absence there. And like you throw in the defensive inefficiencies of a guy like Alexander Arnold and the way that they play, it seems like Bournemouth are going to get opportunities. Will they convert? Maybe not, but I think they'll get a couple good chances in this match. And I'm not sure I want to spend that much when, you got to figure Ellison's not going to make a ton of saves anyway. So
I feel like I'd rather just play Fleck and Sarabia, whatever his name is.
I was actually looking at Jose Sa, but again, that depends on how many teams you have. If you fit the
right, because if you take another Wolves player, you can't do that.
Yeah, that was making it difficult on me. I still think we need a conversation here for the second defender behind Alexander Arnold. So how would we rate some of these guys? I know they're pretty different in pricing, so it makes it you can't really compare them 1-to-1. But Estupiñán is $7K, Robertson is $6,200, Kenny Tete is $5,700, Anthony Robinson $4,700. That's probably where most people are looking. There's been, I don't know how good of rumors these are, but there's been rumors that Estupiñán missed training or something recently, something to monitor because he's in like a weird zone that 900 cheaper than TAA, 800 more than Robertson. So if you have him in your lineup and he's surprisingly out for some reason, that'll have to, change your lineup a bit. But you guys both like Robertson. Is that kind of where we're at just because of the matchup? Robertson over all these guys is kind of it.
It's more comparison to what's available. I mean, like if you have the 800 to get to Estupiñán, I don't think the difference is like that dramatic, but I mean, there isn't going to be a better matchup like the entire season. And if Liverpool is going to score 2, 3, 4, 5 goals, I mean, just the upside of Robertson. I agree with Ryan. Long term, it's like you don't just smash Robertson, especially when he's going to have a lot of games where he comes out at 70 minutes for Tsimikas. That Just like, what else do you do? It's like either you're considering not playing Robertson and playing Estupiñán, or you're going down. I don't think you're considering anyone in the middle. I think like the next defender you should even be considering is like we're talking about like the Aït-Nourys, Van Hecks, Konatés. Like you might as well just punt at that point because any of this other salary, I'd just rather spend in the other. Either I'd rather spend for Allison than have any of these like Anthony Robinson types in the middle. Rico Henry. Like, why am I playing these guys on this type of slate?
Are we worried about Trent at all? Last year he had Fabinho and Henderson in there. It's sort of a different look now. He didn't really get forward at all last game. I mean,
well, why? I mean, isn't it the same conversation? It's like this is one of the best spots of the season. You can't
that's
TAA,
what I think.
Right?
Yeah, like at least last year, and it seemed to make sense with Trent's new position in soft matchups. You're gonna want to play Trent, but like, is that it's not the same team, is all I'm saying. For cash though, obviously you're playing him. I think Estupiñán, I think he led the slate in XG last week, so that was not a bailout assist at the end. I mean, it was a crazy stat. I'm pretty sure that's true. Or maybe it was XG plus XA or something, like almost 3, something crazy, 2.9 or something. Anyways, I think he's a good tournament play. But yeah, not for cash. I mean, it's pretty straightforward for cash. What's a better 2v2? Kenny Tete and Konate, or Robinson and Van Dijk?
What? I think Van Dijk has goal upside in this game.
Yeah, me too.
Right. Like Van Dijk to me for GPPs, I'm like pairing Trent with Van Dijk, like playing Trent or Szoboszlai, and getting the set piece goal or something like that, or Rob like dude, if you're not going to play one of TAA or Robertson, I think there are more people that are going to play Konate at 3,100 because he's cheaper than Van Dijk. But I mean, Van Dijk to me has much more goal upside than Konate because he's the primary target on any quarter kick.
I'm with you. I don't know. I didn't really answer your question, Adam. But no, seriously though, just in general, are these Fulham defenders like good plays? Is this a good spot? Like, is Tete gonna score me 10 points this week? What do you think?
I was just gonna say, I think I'm gonna be off the Fulham defenders.
See, that's what I'm probably that makes me want to get off him too. I'm just saying because
I think I'd rather actually play Nelson Semedo at 3,300 and boost another spot than play Kenny Tete at 5,700.
Right, then you're still gonna need a third team. I like Semedo too.
Do you play a goalkeeper from some random team?
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I like Semedo. I like Semedo as well, but I'm looking for that third team. Maybe goalkeeper, but kind of like Allison.
I think, no, it fits. If you actually do TAA, Estupiñán, Sa, and Semedo in flex, that actually fits.
Oh, maybe Estupiñán's the third team.
Right, yep. So instead of playing Alexander-Arnold?
Instead of playing Robertson, you play Estupiñán.
How do you afford that?
Wow.
Do they give you, just because you run the RotoWire soccer, they give you extra salary?
No, it works. It works. You have to play Sa.
It's not that difficult. It fits. I don't have Jota in here, though.
No, well, you shouldn't have Jota in there.
No, it's the same exact lineup we're talking about. It's just the 3v3.
Yeah, Salah, Diaz.
Not the same exact lineup then.
Yeah, it is. Salah, Diaz, Sobo, Neto, TAA.
Yeah,
basically. You have 3,400 left, and what do you do with that?
Semedo.
Oh, Semedo.
You can't play Mrs. Bia.
Miss or Mrs. Bia? That's
I don't know. Question. I don't know which one it is. Yeah.
We don't know if Sarah is married or not.
Right.
We also don't know if her middle name is B or if that's the start of her last name. Either way. Yeah, I mean, you got 2v2s, you got 3v3s in cash, but I think cash games is we just gave everyone 2 free lineups out, so I think everyone can figure it out from there. Do you guys have any other thoughts in terms of cash games here, in terms of building?
No, but nope. on like I said, for GPPs, I want to play a lot of Brighton.
Let's get into that. So there, you're going to have Dahoud and James Milner, or having someone else?
Those are the guys. Of course, you target those guys, right? You have to expect March is going to play. Maybe he may not play 90, but he played 74 last game. So I mean, he's coming back from an injury. Like, dude, I'm just looking at like Pedro, Matoma. I mean, and then one of Gross or March, like something like that. Because you want to fill your forward spot with like one Brighton player.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue that pretty much these other 5 teams, every player is probably going to be less popular than they should be just because of Liverpool on the slate. So, I mean, you figure that a lot of these Brighton guys are going to be not very popular. So does it matter like who you pick?
It's going to depend on what your slot available. I find that the midfield slots are more valuable because Sola's is and Neto are just so underpriced.
Yeah.
That I don't mind playing one of them in a GPP lineup that makes me like geared towards Gross more than March. Right. So even if I play because obviously I'd want to play Neto in a lineup with Brighton players if that game's back and forth and you just don't play Dominic whatever with the S that I mispronounce all the time.
Just call him Sobo.
Sly. Yeah, right? You can call him Sobo.
If I play like Neto and Sarabia together with like Gross plus Pedro plus Estupiñán, right? I mean, 56-33 is left. I mean, dude, I could still play. I still play people. I mean, you could play Aït-Nouri in this lineup also, right? You could play Allison in this lineup. You still have 8,400, and you could play it. You could play Evan Ferguson. You could literally put in Evan Ferguson in this lineup, and you have 3 teams. Allison's goalkeeper, and then you have 4, right? You can play Matoma in this lineup, right? You play Matoma at 7,800. You could even play $3,200 defender. I mean, dude, the Wolves are so cheap that like if they do well, Brighton probably does well, and back and forth, and all these guys on Brighton, like people are going to play Jota or Diaz over Matoma or Pedro. And Gross is going to, I mean, you take one of the set pieces to either take Gross or March. The Estupiñán will be lower owned because people will be on Trent and Robertson. I mean, obviously, this is the time where the game goes 0-0, and I have 38 points in my lineup when Liverpool wins 6-0. But I mean, to me, it's like the average. It's the like I almost would rather, Ryan. What are your thoughts on this? I'd almost rather full stack Brighton than try to pick out the pieces on Liverpool and Brighton, because my attitude is that Liverpool is going to be, all their players are going to be so owned that if one of they're correlated to each other. So like if Salah has a lot of points, it's probably because Diaz has a goal and TAA has like 12 crosses, like it's much more likely that they're correlated to each other than like you're going to need the one right Liverpool guy. That if Brighton comes out and this game with the Wolves is 4-2, am I going to worry that Jota put up like 16 points? Like, no. Yeah, sure, it's nice to have, but I already have I have Pedro with 16 points, so it's not literally going to, I don't need to get that guy right. I would need to get the Liverpool player that has 35 points right. But it's less likely, especially with all of the ownership. I'd rather just correlate Brighton and just hope that the Liverpool game is like they win, but you don't need, like, no one scores over 20 points because it's all spread out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the easiest path is obviously for Liverpool to bust. And I know that's unlikely, but like,
yeah, but what's bust? But I'm describing bust scenarios where they win.
Right. No, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. No, I wouldn't want to try to, like, imagine getting it right but your lineup has Jota with 4 points. But you got your Brighton Wolves stack right or something. So no, I'm with you. I would just stack that whole game. You obviously you can one off Salah. I mean, he has penalties, and you can one off defenders, of course. But like, yeah, otherwise, yeah, I agree.
I feel like it happened multiple times where, Roberto Firmino had like a brace, 2 goals or 3 goals or something. And it was what Ryan said. It was like the Gakpos or Diaz or whoever else was starting. Those are the guys in 4 or 5 points. Those are the guys you played. And then it's like, oh, Firmino is here. He was the guy just tapping in free passes in front of net and getting the goals kind of a thing.
Is that going to be Alexis McAllister? Because he's going to be the lowest owned out of the Liverpool players.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, yeah, you're right. That'd be something to do. I don't know if I can do it. I think Gakpo will probably be the next lowest, but it's not going to be like low owned or anything.
McAllister at 7,400, basically playing the Fabinho role. I'm not sure I can get there.
It's tough.
I still think in GPPs will be 7% owned. I mean, like,
no, maybe more. Yeah, maybe double digits.
Good luck, I guess.
Maybe not. Maybe that's wishful thinking, but
find that Rodri like goal that comes out from.
I can see all the Liverpool players on a 3-game slate being over 10% owned.
Yeah, definitely.
There'll be no Liverpool player, even Konate, Van Dijk will be 12%. I mean, which
definitely
it's not like high owned, but I just feel like the Brighton players, like imagine Lewis Dunk scores, like he's 10% owned.
Yeah, the other thing I want to say is just you've seen these GPPs won with Trent, Van Dijk, and Neto as the only 3. With the goalie, they rack up a bunch of saves. Liverpool trying to score, it might be 0-0 at halftime. The defenders have just massive floors, and then you can't believe you didn't play the Bournemouth keeper, even if they get scored on. You can see that win GPPs.
I think so. Salah will probably be my Liverpool player that I'll be most afraid to fade in GPPs. Then it seems like almost everyone else is, I don't know if I want to say okay, but it feels better to fade them. How many times will you guys be fading Salah in tournaments? Jordan, I guess both of you guys play, set amount of lineups, so it's not like you're throwing in 150 kind of thing. But
I have no problem. I mean, I think I'm going to play 3 GPP lineups. I will have Salah in cash, and I will not have him in any 3 because he's 11,000. It's like, am I afraid of Salah? Well, if he scores a penalty and he has a bunch of peripherals and he's at 19 points. Dude, the whole point of me not playing Salah is because I could find 19 points from someone else at 11,000. I mean, like 11,000, you need 2 goals to kill you. To now you're in trouble on a 3-game slate. So like to me, I'm more psychologically able to fade that than say like, well, one of these 3 cheaper Liverpool guys could have 2 goals, could have a goal and an assist. And 20 points at like 7K, that's tough. That's tougher to fade because I could find 11K, 20 points for 11K much easier. Like, because Gross could put up like 15 points in peripherals just by himself. And if Salah has 19, it's like, okay, like, I don't care about Salah's goal. So, like, I don't know about you.
Yeah, I don't really think there's a right answer. Like, I'll do different things on different slates. I think you could, if in 20 lineups, I think you could jam Salah in all 20. I think you could fade in all 20. And I'll do things like that throughout the season. It's tough to say on this specific slate, but no, like there's not a right answer. I don't know how else to say it.
Right, there's not a right answer, but my choice,
right,
I think is more likely.
It's really how much risk do you want to take?
Right,
sort of. Yeah,
And in 3 lineups, I'm perfectly fine saying, my angle on this slate is stack Brighton, hope for the best, and get 3 combinations of that. And if Liverpool wins 6-0 and Salah has 40 points, then I have that. It's not like I didn't do well because my cash lineup did fine, right? I mean, it's like my GPP lineups are there for those reasons, right? So, like, to me, I'm like, dude, I'm taking a look at my cash lineup, and it's like, oh, well, it's like a full stack of Liverpool. So it's like, well, what am I going to do in GPP? So either If I full stack Liverpool, it's going to be like the chalkiest lineup. It's going to be like my cash lineup. And if I'm like, well, I'll take out half of the Liverpool players, and I look and I go, well, which half should I be taking out? And I go, I don't know. Right? And it's like, you know what would be easier if Liverpool just won 1-0 with a Darwin Núñez substitute goal, and then just Brighton wins with 3 or 4 goals, and it's like, okay, well, I have 3 combinations of that, and I could piece together those guys and not have to worry about picking which one. I'm relying more on the fact that Brighton scores a bunch of goals, Liverpool doesn't score a bunch of goals, and that's it. I don't have to pick and choose, because all these Brighton guys are going to be low owned enough that, dude, if the combination of them gives me 90 points, like, dude, I'll take it. Give it to me.
So I think the obvious move here is with all the people watching the show. I mean, we've been, hopefully maybe they don't make it past the 45-minute mark, but it seems like a lot of DFS players here are more familiar with Brighton since last season. It was early on when De Zerbi took over where, you know, people still weren't really on their scent, and the numbers on guys like March and Mitoma were really down there, smaller than they should have been in terms of popularity. But this Fulham Brentford match, I mean, we basically haven't really talked about it. We've named a couple players, but I know the implied total is down here at 2.71, but it's not really that low. I mean, we had games last week, maybe the Crystal Palace game where it was 2.2 or something, 2.3. When Marco Silva and Thomas Frank had played each other, these two managers, it was 3-2 both matchups last season. They played over the summer in a friendly. It was 3-2. When Brentford go to this 4-3-3 formation, which is what they tend to do against lesser sides like Fulham, it tends to be a little more up and down than when they have the 5-3-2 formation kind of thing. All these guys are not going to be very popular. Like the Brian Mbeumo, anyone on Fulham really. I mean, Mitrovic is out, so we're going to get probably Raul Jimenez starting. Vinicius coming off the bench for him. Like all these guys are going to be. We have the Liverpool popularity. We have Brighton in here, maybe some of the cheaper Wolverhampton guys. No one's going to be looking at Fulham Brentford. And I think this match is plenty likely to finish with 3 or 4 goals, same as kind of the other matches as well. Are you looking at either of these teams, Ryan, for any of your lineups, or are you kind of stuck on the Brighton situation?
No. Yeah, I'm in for sure. Like, especially how I look at it, you know, some people might not like this, but yeah, we're earlier in the season. Like these odds, as far as I'm concerned, any one of the other 4 teams have about the same chance to score 2-3 goals. I'm not like an expert on how any of these matches are going to go yet. I can see them going either way. So like, if you take ownership into account, then yeah, give me some of these pieces. Raul Jimenez is cheap. Wissa's cheap. Like to me, the goals can come from anywhere this is just one slate. You know, most of the time, are they going to come from Brighton and Wolves like over this game? Yeah, maybe. But like just this one slate, they can come from anywhere. So yeah, like I think you're going to get Liverpool is going to be so chalky that like it'd be stupid not to take chances on these other from these other games. I mean, that's how you win these slates is playing guys like that.
So who would you want? I think I guess the difficult part is that these Fulham guys kind of get subbed out often. Pereira's coming back from an injury. Jimenez.
I mean, Jimenez. Yeah, I mean, I'm not Jimenez starting at center forward for Mitrovic. Give me him. I'm sure he has the highest goal scoring odds on Fulham. Wissa's about the same price playing center forward. Give me Wissa. Obviously, I think Mbeumo's a good play just in general, who's going to go under-owned, you know, on penalties, probably plays 90 minutes. And yeah, just no one's going to play him because, you know, they're not great plays when you compare him to Liverpool. But for tournaments, yeah, I'll be playing some.
Plug in Kevin Schad as a midfielder for 3,700 because DraftKings hasn't updated his position yet, despite being a forward.
Yeah, who's he going to start over? Who do you have him starting over?
They moved from a 3 center backs to a 3 forwards kind of a thing.
Right. I just mean he didn't start last week. They played a weird lineup.
He'll start over Nathan Collins, who was a center back, because they moved from a 5-3-2 to a 4-3-3.
Yeah, I'll play him too. He's a good play, because those Wolves guys will be really chalky, and he's the same price.
Yeah,
and he can score goals.
Yeah, Jordan, are you just glued on to Wolverhampton Brighton, or have you given any thought to this Fulham Brentford game here?
I mean, it's fine. I mean,
but I gotta say, like, a little bit of a clarification. I wouldn't stack this game. Like, this is the game for one-offs on Liverpool stacks, maybe two-offs on Liverpool stacks. The other game is you're going to stack it up and get different that way. These players, like, they're going to make my Liverpool stacks different. It's sort of a different thing.
Right. Like, I don't mind playing you play D. Cordova-Reed instead of
sure, just like a one-off.
Right.
Right.
As a one-off. You play Mbuemo instead of Diaz or one of the Liverpool forwards. You play Wissa.
Like, I don't want to come off like I'm definitely.
So go further here. Why wouldn't you game stack Fulham Brentford, but you would Wolverhampton Brighton?
No, I'm not saying you shouldn't. I think that's fine. I think it's more likely that the Wolves Brighton game, produces goals and good fantasy points. Like the Fulham Brentford game is tough to stack. I mean, we've sort
of
talked
about. It's also a price
about
thing. Like, the Wolves pieces are so cheap that I mean, it's like, dude, I built a lineup that had March, Ferguson, Pedro, Matoma, like 4 out of the 5 main, and out of the 6 main points getters, you could stack 4 of them for Brighton and still have 3 Wolves. I mean, like, an attacker, you could have Sarabia and Neto and Cunha or Aït-Nouri or Semedo, and I mean, like, and you could still even have Allison in that lineup even if you wanted it. So it's like just the combination of how the players come together. Fulham, it doesn't really work that way because it's like, okay, I'm going to play Pereira, Di Cordova-Reeve, Jimenez, and Mbuemo. It's like you're stuck in a zone where it's like, oh, I still have to play chalk Pedro Neto. I still have to play like one of the Liverpool players, and it's just like the stack doesn't, 5 or 6 players in that game don't line up value-wise together enough, while the Wolves Brighton,
you're
playing multiple Wolves players in your lineup, that makes it easier to do that.
I don't know if I
most of those
agree
lineups with the multiple Wolves players have Liverpool players in it and not Brighton players. So you're actually like a 5v5 off of much of the field. While the Fulham Brentford one, if you stack that, you'll be way different, but your lineups will project really low.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I think it's really thin. Like, it makes sense from what you're saying, but it's tough to get there on 20 lineups. Like, it has upside though, a lineup like that. But maybe for
I'd rather, if I'm gonna stack like Ryan, Fulham Brentford, I'd rather go up and down with both sides. It's like a 2+1 type, play I'll play Pereira, Jimenez, Wissa, but don't play Mbuemo because he's too expensive, because you want to get other pieces in your defender spots and everything like that. Or you play Anthony Robinson, Jimenez, Di Cordova-Reed, and not Pereira or Wilson, and then you play Shad in that lineup, and now you could play Salah now, and that type of you're not taking 5 pieces through this. You're taking 3, maybe 4. And while with the Wolves Brighton thing, it's like, dude, I could take 7. No problem with the price, because so many of these Wolves players are so cheap.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know, Adam, what do you think? You like this game for a stack?
I think it's just going to be.
I know.
Yeah, it's not going to be popular, and as I said, these matchups between these managers tends to produce goals. I know what the odds say; it has the lowest implied total, but
it's not that low. But Adam, it's not a low total. It's 2.7. I mean,
so I mean, if all these games finish 3-2, wouldn't you just want the match with that's going to be least popular?
Yeah, exactly.
A couple goal scorers there.
You would.
So
yep.
I mean,
are you saying, Adam, that all the games are going to be 3-2?
I'd say if they are,
yeah,
they could be. That's true. Would you guys, before we go here, got to bring up Adama Traore, 5,300. What if he started for Fulham? Would you guys consider big muscle Traore coming from Wolverhampton debut for Fulham here?
Oh, I'll play him in tournaments. I love Adama. Yeah, I'll 5,300 is cheap.
Yeah, I was just reminded of that. He could be a guy who starts over De Cordova-Reid. So
yeah, I always like playing Adama. People will probably play him, which isn't great, but I don't know, maybe not.
You guys have anything else here? We talked about every player between the 6 teams here, outside of Harrison Reed, who will probably, I think he scored a brace at one point last season. He could score a brace, but you guys have anything else here?
Not
I'm waiting
really.
for the Zabarni goal.
Jordan, who's your center back?
Well, I have to go with Jack. He mentioned that there's going to be a Bournemouth is going to score, right? And it's going to be David Brooks to Zabarni. And that's going to be someone's going to play David Brooks over Pedro Neto, right? And then that's going to be and I'm going to have a $7 million head-to-head. That's what the 2v2 is, right? I have Neto and some in Semedo or something like that, and someone plays Brooks instead of Neto, plays Zabarni instead of Konate or something. And then then Bern Leno also puts up 74 points at goalkeeper like he did last week.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go, I'll say Tim Ream for the American, Tim Ream or Issa Diop for the center back goal. Brentford, Thomas Frank was already talking about in his press conference today that they have been struggling against set pieces. And as you can see in their lineup, Christopher Ajer, who didn't really play a ton last season because he was injured. So Ben Mee and who else is? Yeah, Ben Mee is injured right now, so he's not playing. So when they move to this, assuming they move to this 4-3-3 formation, maybe more questions against set pieces. So there's your team. You got Tim Ream at defender, getting the assist from Andres Pereira, assuming he starts. If it's Kearney, then I'll just say Harry Wilson to Tim Ream, something like that. But what do you think, Jordan? Tim Ream, American?
Go USA. Okay. I'm not going to play him.
Right. Go USA, right.
All right. RotoWire.com/soccer trial, 48-hour trial. You can get this cheat sheet that I've been using throughout our show. Has lineups, has odds, goal scoring odds, free kick stats, full stats, team conceded stats, everything you want right here in these cheat sheets. You get a 48-hour trial. And then you can also join our Discord once you subscribe, RotoWire.com/chat. You can find Jordan at BlenderHD on Twitter. Ryan is at Ryan Belongi. I am at RotoZdroik. Thank you, everyone, for watching this show, even though we got a 5K to first max contest, but maybe we're going to win that 5K. How about that? 5K, we'll take that 5K. We'll put that 5K into the 20K to first next week. And then it's going to be 50K to first because we're going to be filling all these contests. And then 100K to first a month from now. All right, I'm getting too positive here. It's not going to happen. We know what DraftKings is going to do. But thank you, Jordan. Thank you, Ryan. See you everyone next week. Good luck on the slates.
Thanks, guys. Good luck, everybody.